Welcome to another episode of On the Spot. I am glad to be back. And right beside me, I got my partner in crime, my wonderful co-host, Lene. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How is everyone?
I'm good. We ain't seen you in about a month, but
Lies.
yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a minute, but I'm glad to see you in the studio.
I'm glad to be here.
I know you got kind of lost walking in here. I want to do something with this sound to make sure we all have equal sound in both ears. But because we're live, these type of things are going to take place.
It's all good.
Tonight, and I'm gonna tell you, tonight is going to be a very, very, very interesting topic. We're going to get into some real controversy tonight. And then, what is controversy? Is that when people disagree? Is that what it is? Pretty much.
A hot topic.
A hot topic.
Oh, okay. You say controversy.
Difference of opinions.
Yeah, we're gonna have opinions, but
you say controversy to me, I think of the Prince song. Controversy.
Nah, we ain't going there. No.
Oh.
I think that.
It's not a music audition.
See, here on the spot, we like to put subjects and topics on the spot that people don't normally like to talk about, or they shun away from, or they kind of taboo. Like, I don't want to talk like that in public, but you know something? We're gonna put this topic on blast, and we're gonna put it on the spot tonight. So, before we get started with the actual topic, I'm gonna introduce my guest tonight. I got my brother, who I've been knowing since I've been in Texas. I got the random black guy, Lucky. What's up, man?
What up, though? I gotta say the full name. Luck for a buck, a random black guy. The name don't matter, the face don't matter, only the words and the message.
See, we going hard tonight. I can feel already. I feel the
going
intensity.
down.
I don't have no isms like that.
There you
You
go.
pick the whole verse.
So on the other side of the table, I got my other brother, who's come to us with a very, very powerful show every other Wednesday night, and his name is Kintu. What's up, man?
What's good? What's good?
Look, man, let me tell you something. I got this vibe right now that this show and this topic is going to be intense. So we're going to get right into it. How about that?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I want to talk about, and this has been on my mind because I've been seeing a lot of things happening, with men and entertainment, and with sports, or just public figures, period. And then our general communities, our general black communities. I've been seeing a lot of things that's been happening. I hear talk and I see a lot. Now, some people may get offended by this conversation, right? But that's okay, because we're here to bring whatever you're feeling offended about, whatever you're upset about, whatever things you just don't want to talk about. We're going to put it on the spot tonight. So I want to talk about the emasculation of black men in the United States. Now, some people don't know what that means. So I'm going to read it from the guy right here in the dictionary.
In the dictionary.
And so it says, deprives a man of his male role or identity. Now,
Deprives a man of his
Yes.
male role or identity.
Or
The
identity.
emasculation of a man.
yes. Now, this emasculation can take place with both men and women.
Mm-hmm.
But tonight, we're putting black men in America on the spot.
So the emasculation of black men.
Of black men.
All right, that's the topic.
Now, one of the things they have is, what does it mean to emasculate someone? Here's their definition: to deprive of strength, vigor, or spirit. Weaken. Number two, deprive or virility or procreative power and castrate a black man. So that right there, Kintu, I'm gonna start with you, man.
Okay.
What is that story? What does that topic mean to you? Emasculated black man in America.
Basically, I think it all starts with the government.
The government, okay.
Yeah, I think to control black people, you have to remove the black man from the family structure.
Okay.
It starts there. So to control a group of people, you got to remove the strong male presence first and foremost.
So you feel the government has some success with that?
Very much so.
So you think it starts with the family?
Yes.
Okay. What about the start with the current family, the modern family? I guess it would be the modern family, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Because we didn't have, well, actually, let's take it back maybe 100 years, right?
That's
100
it?
years.
Well, we can take it back since we came off the slave ships with the butt breaking. It all starts there, the butt
Okay.
breaking.
What does that mean? Butt breaking?
Basically, mean you take a strong male
You break them
person and you put them in front of the women and children, and you either you poke them in the ass with a stick, or get another male to fuck them in front of the woman, or you just do anything to embarrass that man in front of the woman and the child.
You're frightening my engineer. She's got this look in her face. Her mouth is wide open. By the way, say hello. What's up, Patricia? Glad to have you, engineer,
Hey,
pushing the
y'all.
buttons. Lene, I'm gonna switch it over to you before I get to Lucky. To hear that story, what Kintu just said, what comes to mind?
Like the images of slavery.
Well, this is what he
And
said, the butt break.
I'm saying,
Oh,
like,
that's what it is, okay.
just like that's what comes to mind. I haven't like visually seen it to that extent, but just seeing a black man beat down and tore down in front of women and broken away from his family, and back then when all they knew were to provide and protect, and they weren't allowed to do so. And then not only were they broken away from their family, then the family was taken captive as well and made
Right.
put to work. So that's what that speaks to me.
Okay. Lucky, to emasculate the black man in America. What does that mean to you?
I was hoping you weren't gonna, that's what I'm saying, he hit the nail on the head. I was hoping he wasn't gonna go back that far.
We going
It's
in
funny,
back.
like I told you earlier, when we were off air, when you initially told me about this topic, I'm a big heavy reader.
Right.
I went on my bookshelf, I just started looking through my bookshelf, I just started grabbing books. I was like, but you know what? We ain't gonna go that deep. We just gonna keep we just gonna keep the conversation on a certain level.
No, but we
But-
can go deep.
But
Yes.
what he's talking about, I mean, is it goes to psychology and ideology.
Mhm.
Because the emasculation of the black man essentially is the emasculation of the black family.
There you go.
Okay. So let me ask you guys, all of you guys here on the show tonight, what does it mean? I mean, what's the benefit to those who are doing the emasculation? What is the purpose?
Control. It's just
Control?
simple. It's control.
Okay.
To have a control of a group of people.
So it's all about control.
Control and to keep the success level down. Like, so that control then proceeded to be us being less successful and then us being controlled in many different environments.
Have we bought into that?
Yes.
Yeah, we bought
Well,
into it to a certain point. Like when we didn't realize, it was a point where we didn't realize we really had a choice. And then it took one person, finding their voice and finding their footing, and then us seeing it and looking up to that person, and then it was another person, and then it turned to 20 people, and then it turned to 100, and then it turned to thousands. And where we're at now,
Right.
we're in that place of, we're not having it. We're just not trying to have it. We're trying to come out of that.
I mean, we are, but folks are not looking at the psychological effects of that.
Let's talk about that.
Because essentially, you know what I'm saying, if the black man steps into his place, the black woman steps into her place, we get our children aligned, we will truly, truly understand on a spiritual level who we are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
That's what they're scared of.
So in other words, we've been deprived.
No.
Because that's what emasculation means, to deprive.
I mean,
So-
it's at a certain, it's kind of like how they say they break circus animals.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? When they get the elephants at first, they have them on a real tight chain, for a long time. The elephant can't break through. After a while, the elephant in their mind, they feel like they can't break through. Now they put them on a little rope.
Right.
And in their mind, that rope is just as strong as that chain, not realizing they can pull that rope off
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
because they still think they're on that chain.
And I feel like we're at that rope point. Like, so there were actual chains,
Right.
Yes.
back then. And so now when slavery was lifted, then we came to a rope. But for us, it still felt like a chain. And I think slowly, collectively, we're realizing, oh, it's a rope. If I tug a little harder and I
Right.
fight a little harder,
Right.
and I educate my children and I educate my family and I work to stick together, with my family, then we can break through this.
Okay. So Kintu, do you feel that, I'm going back to the same question. Do you feel that we have allowed this emasculation to take place, to continue?
Yes.
And if we have,
Yeah.
and why do you think we've allowed it?
It's both parties have a responsibility. The black woman and the black man,
Okay.
both played a part in this. Um, I'm gonna be honest. I think black women played a bigger part in the emasculation of the black man.
So we're gonna go there, okay?
Yeah. I think the turning point, the big turning point, in my opinion, was the feminist movement.
Okay.
The feminist movement is pretty much where, per se, a lot of black men would say black women sold black men out.
Right.
Doing that, they took the side of the white woman and went along with what the white woman was saying about what her white man was doing to her, when the black man wasn't doing these things to the black woman.
2 or 4? Can you elaborate a little bit?
The feminist movement back basically saying we don't need our men. We need to be empowerment to have equal rights as men. White women were saying that. Black women never really had that issue with their black men per se.
Right.
Sexual revolution. I'd be able to do anything I want to do with JJ like I want to do. I want to have abortion rights. All those things black women start to align with in the late 60s and early 70s. That's where the turning point came, where black women per se turned their back on black men.
So it sounds like, because you mentioned women, I'm gonna get to you in a second, Lucky. Since you mentioned women, okay, we all know about, and you mentioned the women empowerment, right? Because you hear that everywhere. It's all over the place, right? So I'm gonna skip it over just a little bit, and like I do want you to respond, but I just got a thought. So while women are gaining their freedom and independence, I'm gonna say freedom and independence, so you don't know what I mean. Freedom and independence, you feel that in their path to freedom and independence, it has pushed the black man out of the mainstream. Or
they did it, but the government gave them help and encouraged
Okay.
them. So in a way, they was kind of like say, hey, here go this carrot right here, black woman, come get away from your black man.
right. Well, that started in the '70s with the welfare movement.
Yep.
You know. But Lucky, you want to respond?
That's what I was gonna say. It's what I agree with you to a certain point. I'll say that's part of it. That was part of a collective. Because like I say, the feminist movement, you know what I'm saying, started women thinking towards they didn't need men. Then when the welfare movement, you know what I'm saying, came into play.
Right.
Then the government on this had the feminist movement on this side saying you don't need a man, had the government on this side of the movement say you better not have a man. And I say that because I'm 45. I remember in the 80s, well, if a woman was on the system, she couldn't have a car, she couldn't have a man in the house. She bet not have a man in the house.
Yes, because they need that
You
other income.
can't have a man in the house, no nothing. So basically, you know what I'm saying? So basically, you know what I'm saying? It was a systematic collective effort.
Right.
And the thing in this, and I'm glad he touched on the feminist movement, because when you look at it, when you go back to slavery, you know what I'm saying, it's kind of wild that black women latched on to the feminist movement, because the feminist movement was started by white women.
Right.
And if you really deep dive and look into slavery, the black woman's enemy during slavery was not the white man, it was their wives, the white women.
The white women, right.
The white men were raping
And that's
black
because-
women.
well-
Their wives were killing them.
Right. And beating them.
Because they
Right
were
after they had
jealous
those babies,
because-
yeah, they were killing
Exactly.
them. So it just is wild that black women latched on to the feminist movement, because basically, essentially, you aligned yourself with your biggest enemy.
Well, women, I believe that women, and Lene, you can chime in on this one. I feel that women felt that all women had a common enemy.
But they
And
didn't.
that was, well,
But they
But they
didn't see it
didn't.
that way.
White women didn't have the same enemies as the black. Everybody's the black woman's enemy.
well,
The white women only have one. The white woman only has one enemy: the white man.
well, wasn't that the same enemy for black women as well?
But black women have. But the black women, they're the white man and the white woman.
Right.
What's their enemy?
Right.
The white woman only got one enemy: the white man. The black man's not even an enemy to the white woman. The white woman has one enemy: the white man.
So you're saying that the problem and everything, you mentioned control earlier, that it's really the white man that caused all this and sustaining all of this, right? But I believe that all women has joined in that fight. Now, I probably shouldn't give my own personal
Well,
opinion.
and to be fair, black men played the part, and I want to touch on this part too. I just
Okay.
didn't want to harp on the black women, but the black
Right.
man, he played a part as well, because in the 70s, 80s, when all of this was going on, they looked at it like, well, the women are basically saying, hey, you can make a baby with me,
Right.
and we don't care about you being with us or not.
Right.
And we bought into that. We like, oh, well, we can go around fuck as many women we wanted to now. And these women not even requiring us to be in the household with them.
Right.
So we bought into that ideology as well. So we got to take our blame as well, because we took that mind frame, that mind set up, being with multiple women, making multiple babies with multiple women, not controlling ourselves,
Right.
because the women was not requiring us to be in the household, to be responsible to raise a family. So we gotta, as men and as leaders of households, take that fault as well, because we bought into sleeping around with a bunch of women and making different babies in different households, because the women was not requiring relationships, marriage, and us being in the household.
So, Lene,
Mm-hmm.
now, black women, independent, running corporations, running for high office, making their own money, buying their own homes, you know what I mean? Doing, in a lot of cases, and Lucky Now, you know, talk about this, that black women here in Dallas, Fort Worth area do better than most black men, when it comes to financial and career-wise, you know what I'm saying? Even though we may all have the same educational level, that you're just widely accepted more than the black man. So, based on what Kintu was saying, the household and how things have happened in the household, do you feel, being a black woman, right, being in relationships, have you ever felt that maybe you may have had a hand in contributing to the emasculation of a black man?
I feel that I didn't directly have a hand in it, but as a woman and at the age that I am, I have experienced being in that position, a woman of success, a woman, a lot of different times, making more than certain men that I might date. And then I've dated men that make more than me, but when I do date men who make less than me and I am submissive to them, it's almost like they can't accept it, because I've accomplished what I've accomplished and they feel that they should be able to do more for me, even though that's not what I'm requiring of them. So the emasculation has already happened,
Right.
and currently it's still the aftermath of it. So as
So
a
his
woman now,
becomes
it's
elevated because
so the emasculation has turned into an insecurity in our black men. So our black men feel like, I don't deserve you. I should be able to do better for you. You have all this going on. You have yourself taken care of in this way and this way, and I'm here. And I'm saying, hey, as I prefer my black man. I prefer my brothers. It's not about monetary where you're at, but what could we do together? How can I help elevate you?
Right.
And even in that, I receive resistance. I'm talking about, hey, you know what? It doesn't matter what you make. It doesn't matter what I make. Let's put it together and do what we can do together. I've been in situations where a man tell me, no, because I should be doing da 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 da. So as a woman, I guess my question is, dealing with the topic of emasculation, dealing with the insecurities, and dealing with the perception that black women don't know how to be submissive. What advice would you give a black woman in this day and age, dating, trying to be successful, not be independent, but be successful and have the ability to stand on her own when she needs to and when she has to, but she still desires to be provided for, protected, and covered by her black man. But sometimes as a woman, we have to have the strength and the ability to stand on our own, because we're not always in a position to be in a relationship.
long question.
I know, it was long.
I would say,
But pick apart.
I would say, like you say, take it apart. I would say first, it comes to the communication, and then the ways. I didn't realize this till a few years ago. Emotional maturity is real.
Yeah.
Emotional, that's what it comes down to, having, being able to have them conversations. The emotional and the financial conversations.
Yes.
It's, for you, is find a man that's secure within himself. Meaning, like, I can sit in the house all day and I'm cool. I don't have to be around a whole bunch of people. I can be by myself.
Right.
That'd be one of your key things. Can that person be by themselves?
Right.
Do they always got to be around a whole bunch of people feeding into their ego?
I actually have something to say about that, because I've dated men who are in the environment that requires them to be around a bunch of people. Men who like a lot of solace and have their own things going, and
Right.
they're entrepreneurs and they are successful, but maybe at that particular time, financially, I'm a little bit more successful than them. That hasn't mattered. So
How did they define themselves? Because it sounds like a lot of these people define themselves by their finances. You know what I'm saying? By what they like. It's I can't think of his name. It's a Asian actor. He said he has a quote. He says, "People ask you what do you do to determine how much respect
how
to
much
give you.
you
Right.
exactly.
How much respect to give you."
And I'm the opposite of that. I don't like. That's what he was saying earlier, like the modesty. I don't like for you to know what I do. I don't like for you to know where I live, what I drive, any of that. It's more about who I am as a person and what I bring to the table, aside from a monetary perspective. But
So, Kintu, you want to respond to that, to the long question?
to the other long question.
Did you remember?
Did you remember? Did
I
you
was
take
trying to
notes?
think about what's the question again.
The question was basically with the emasculation of Black men that has already happened, and now the heightened insecurities that follow that emasculation. As a woman dating now, what is your advice in terms of dealing with those things?
Oh man, that's a tough question. But I would say, just sometimes let them just I know nowadays women feel like they boss chicks, but sometimes when you in the company of a man, just let him be a man, let him feel like he's in control. Even I know in the back, a lot of women nowadays feel like I'm the boss. They have big inflated egos nowadays. But when you in the present of man, just let him be in control, let him be a man, and just play a back role.
Yeah.
Now, and that's how you find out if a man is a good dude. If you try to play the backdrop, and you will see if he's gonna lead, he's gonna do certain things, how he make decisions, and that's how you can find out if you got a real dude or not. But if a lot of times you try to let him go to the forefront and he's indecisive, he's wishy-washy, that's how you can find out he ain't about shit.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
So let me ask you guys something. They have another example here. What is an example of emasculate? Emasculate is often defined as deprive someone, of course, we said that, or something of its power and vigor, and to make a man unable to produce or make the male feel like he's less of a man. Okay, when a woman makes fun of her boyfriend or husband for being in women and not being able to do the things he should do as a man,
Such as?
they just left it like that.
I mean,
Man, we got two big examples right now. We got Gabrielle Union and Jada Pinkett Smith. Those are the two biggest ones.
Let's talk about that. Okay, Gabrielle. Let's talk about Gabrielle.
Yeah.
How does she emasculate her husband?
Man,
Gabrielle Union?
You can tell Wade don't run shit in that house.
Wait.
Not even his own.
Not even his
own
own child. She
Really?
make all the decisions, and then she just be on Instagram, ass cheeks out and everything. If he was a real man, he wouldn't let his woman be all on Instagram with booty cheeks out.
I know what picture you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because I didn't catch on to it until somebody posted and I had to look. I'm like, dang, that female look familiar. Then I started reading.
Yeah.
But let me ask you, but
I didn't
okay,
see it.
so
I haven't seen it.
so based on that, what if he is okay with that? Not because he feels emasculated. Maybe he's okay with his wife.
I know, because she emasculated him. We on the top of him.
So you're saying that?
Yeah.
Okay. So they didn't come together, and if she found out some things that he really likes, so she said, okay, this is me, and he said, okay, I'm cool with that.
I would go more deeper than that. You know what I'm saying? It was borderline in that. Aisha Curry and Steph, when she had made that comment talking about attention and all that stuff, and it's like, whoa,
I hope
you got a whole husband.
Yeah.
Why is you worried about outside
of
attention? You got a whole husband.
Yeah.
I would, you know what I'm saying?
But
I would
it-
look
it-
at something like that as emasculating.
Yeah, it all makes sense because look at what happened to his dad now.
Yeah.
That's
stepping out. Like,
when his mom getting divorced, and
Yeah.
she the whole time she was with a white dude.
No, she was with some
his best friend, one of his best friends from college.
Yeah. She knew he was cheating, so she knew he was cheating, so she pulled the ultimate female get back. She got one his homeboy.
Okay, wait. So going back to going back, right?
Right.
To the women, you guys saying the women not requiring you to be in the household and not requiring you to take care of your responsibilities. Back to what
Yeah.
Kintu was saying. What about when the women were requiring it of you and fighting you tooth and nail to get it and they got tired?
When that happened?
That was way back then when those other
Shit, that's
changes
today.
happened. It's today too, but I'm
Right.
saying at the beginning of that feminist movement, and women kind of sided with where they could get that leeway and where they could move forward and gain some power. So an emasculation happened in your opinion, but as women, it was an empowerment for women. So it's like a double-edged sword because you guys already weren't taking care of your responsibilities. Women were
Who said
already.
that?
No.
I'm saying that as in some regard, yes.
Okay,
Some
well,
men
yeah,
weren't.
That's not
Think
true.
about
Not back
when the
then.
Back then, men weren't taking.
Women.
I'm 42,
Yeah,
so
we-
I mean, I'm coming.
But
I'm
think about
speaking
this,
from
though.
actual experience.
When did the feminist movement kicked out? When? Around the same time that the civil rights movement was going on.
Mm-hmm.
It was
So that's what I say when
Yeah.
I look at when black women.
You weren't
attach
back-
themselves to
you
the
weren't back
feminist
then,
movement.
now.
Think about what was going on within our
I wasn't here
community.
then,
So
but
how
I'm
could
saying.
so it looked crazy with
But
black women
actually,
siding.
let me just be historically correct now. The feminist movement started back during the suffrage, when women were not allowed to vote. When they fought, those women fought, and they fought for the 19th Amendment to get passed, where women had the right to vote. That was when it started.
That's the women's movement,
Yeah.
not the feminist movement.
So
This is
now,
the
okay,
suffrage
okay,
movement, but the feminist
okay.
movement.
Okay.
Then the feminist movement started in the 50s.
No, it was
Yeah.
probably like the 60s.
And that's going on at the same time as
The civil rights.
as the civil rights movement.
They used the civil rights movement to get the rights they have.
Right.
So we was like the mirror.
So once
They
they got-
used
That's
black
what I'm
folks.
saying. And then they pulled black women in. You know where your husband was at. Your husband was in the street fighting for rights.
Right.
It wasn't that he wasn't at home.
Right.
But what about the men who weren't in the streets fighting for rights and they weren't doing what they were supposed
No,
to?
but back to
And
what you
women
were
had an
saying,
outlet.
at that time frame in the 50s
You can say
and
later,
60s.
like fast forward later.
Well, at that point, but at that point, men was in the house doing that
Right.
that feminist movement thing. Men were in the house. Marriage rates were high.
Mm-hmm.
It was at that turning point when women aligned themselves to the feminist movement when the marriage rates dropped
Right.
with
Okay.
black households.
So you made a good
So,
point. I'm
that's
gonna
a
go
good
there, so Patricia don't have to worry about this one anymore, but, okay. According to some statistics, black women, have we talked about this before? Probably not. Okay, she laughed. Okay, I'll find out in a second why she laughed. Okay, 26% of black women actually get married. 26%. 51% of black men get married. So how does that play into this emasculation thing that's been going on with black men in America? Because is it one, we're turning away from black women and we're marrying other people outside our races? What is that? What's going on?
Can I hit a rewind first?
Okay,
Also, going back to this, that's why I said it was all part of a systematic, because you got to think about something else.
right,
It's in the auto industry was big in the Midwest.
Mhm.
So you had a lot of men making these astronomical incomes while at the same time being uneducated.
okay,
So once those jobs started going away,
right,
those high paying jobs, now you got now you had these uneducated men. Now their wives is looking at them like, what you gonna do? And because they're not educated, they can't get replacement jobs. So I mean, it was just
Yeah,
it's a whole systematic wheel. There's no one thing that caused this. It's a whole bunch of
well,
stuff.
yeah,
coming
there are
together.
several things that caused it, but
I don't say there's no one thing. There was no one bigger cause, and there was a whole bunch
It's
of
a
stuff happening.
culmination of
so
things,
those are a lot of smaller things that built up this big movement that's
But I
happening.
mean, but
Right.
when you analyze those things, you know what I'm saying? There's first of you had these big community of black men that could take care of their families.
And
All of
then
a
you
sudden,
did it.
overnight, couldn't.
Right.
Well,
And then
that's-
they got wives and they got children. Then let's be real, a lot of them men were Rolling Stones. So now you had a family on this side of town
Oh, okay,
and a
that's
family
what
on
I
that
was-
side of town. So now they don't have no job.
So-
they went from being able to take care of
And
both
they went
households
from-
to not being able to take care of
Okay,
neither.
thank you.
So I mean,
Finally.
it's a whole bunch of
Right,
It's,
but
it's
you-
a,
Okay,
it's,
that's
it's a
that
big
was,
old.
Yeah.
that
okay.
was my question. That
Yeah.
was what I was trying to get to the
What was the
truth
question?
in the bottom of the fact that some of the men, it's not that they weren't, but I think you said it better of the Rolling Stone part of it. You got a household on this side of town, you got a household on that side of town. But you are home, I mean, you home Monday through Wednesday at this household, and Thursday through Saturday at this household, and.
But I
the
think-
women are tripping because
and
you
the
make
women
enough money
weren't-
to
wait,
take
wait,
care
Hold
of
up, hold
your
up,
house.
hold up, guys, hold up. I think that is a symptom of the problem.
No,
That's
no, no,
not-
that was,
that's part- that's part
no.
of-
That was what
part
I was
of the
trying to get
problem.
to as
Well, it
before.
became part of the big problem, but I think that was only a symptom of the problem. The cause of the problem, that's not the cause, because men were going bounce around and having households in other parts of the
No,
city.
no, no.
Well, I'm
He's
saying this,
saying
all I'm
after-
saying all
after
this,
the
it was a
fact.
snowball effect.
Right.
I'm saying
Well,
all of this was a
So,
snowball
but
effect.
we're going
to
back
where we're at
to,
now.
well, the emasculation of the black man, right? You mentioned that it originated back during slavery. I agree, right? And I think everyone here at this table can agree. And it just changed form. You know, as we gained our freedom, and I'm saying this, I'm being real hard-hearted, as we gained our freedom and women became more independent, you know, in that independence, so the combination of these things happened. Women got more independent, men became free, but the bottom line is those two things didn't work together for good, for the betterment of the relationship, of a household. So by the time all this trauma, and I'm gonna call it trauma.
It is trauma,
You know,
yeah.
all this trauma was taking place, somewhere we got lost. Black men got
Because-
lost.
Yeah, and to your point, it's kind of like you said, women were fed up and men weren't able to provide.
And we gave up. Y'all got
and-
fed up, we gave up.
And there you go, and then the system picked up.
The
So there
systems-
was an out.
System
And
was
then-
always there because they had a hand, it's like, you
But so
know,
the women got on the system though, so that was their out, like, hey, okay, this man can't provide, I can't list him in my household, like, I almost have an excuse to get rid of him too, on
yeah, the
top of
system kept
everything.
us out. You
To
know,
go back
while
to
the women,
Kintu's
while
point.
women, like I mentioned the thing about how women, black women in Dallas Fort Worth there, they have much more career success than the average black man. Now, I'm not gonna sit up and say that women outnumber men in this area, but the bottom line is, I don't know what the ratios are between men and women in this area. I know in Atlanta it's 11-1.
It's,
But-
it's.
Oh,
You
it
know,
went
in
down.
Houston is like 8-1, so it's, you know, we're still a minority. Black men are still a minority, you know, whether it's amongst just women and black women, whatever group, we're the smallest group, right? Except for some Asian groups, right? We know the Latino community has advanced past us. However, the system has not necessarily accepted black men as being part of the mainstream. They're still trying to keep, and that's only because women are looking out for women. Women get into these powerful roles, and they're looking out for who? They're looking out for women. So, and at the same token, women are turning away from men and finding love with their own kind, with their own gender. That's a part.
Oh, with
I'm not
men.
saying it's a problem, but it's part of the process. It's what's been happening. There's numerous things. I'm not saying nothing wrong with the LGBT community. Matter of fact, there's nothing wrong with the LGBT community. It depends on what you
Absolutely
believe.
not.
But what I'm saying is because of that, and I'm not saying, so I guess what I'm saying probably sounds a little controversial, like almost like it's a choice. It's not necessarily a choice, but I think it's part of the symptoms of everything that's been happening. So the emasculation of the black man, and Patricia, you're not talking about this. You know, she's not even on the show. She's I'm gonna quote something she's saying, how she says that young men are less outspoken in a group of people, but the women are. They feel the confidence to do it. Young black men won't. Is that true, Patricia?
It's true.
So-
That's what we're finding.
Say it one more
Yes.
time.
Young black men are not speaking up. We're not speaking out. And so it's starting in middle school, maybe in elementary,
Yeah.
in elementary school, where young black men are not speaking up. They're quiet. They're the quiet ones. As a matter of fact, perfect example, Renee, you have two sons, right?
Mhm.
You have a son that's a teenager?
17,
Right, you have a
and one is
17-year-old.
3.
Is he quiet?
My 17-year-old?
Yeah.
In school.
At
Is he
school.
quiet?
Not really.
Okay.
No.
He's not the outspoken.
He's not timid. He's
I'm
outgoing.
not saying
like
he's
me.
timid, but he's quiet, he's kind of reserved,
To himself.
laid back.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
I think one of the reasons why men, especially young boys, but I'm gonna say men, even men my age, we step back because one of the things we don't want to deal with, or we find it hard to deal with, is the high emotional level of women.
Mm.
And
That's a
because
good
of
point.
that, we decide not to engage in those conversations because we're like saying, hey, you know, this conversation will be like this one right here. You know, we had 3 other women in here
Mhm.
that were at this table with you, and you're good, you know. And these other women who are speaking their mind, they might come across, Kenny, why are you having this conversation? What do you mean emasculation of black men? Blah, blah. And some may admit that you're right. Men are seeming to be, you know, a little wimpy, like this demonstration here. Seem like they're wimps. They don't want to speak up. They ain't got no backbone. You know what I mean? We see it in the workplace. It's like we're afraid of
Yeah.
losing
So-
something.
It started in the school system. I'm glad you brought that up because that's where it starts now. Because most of the teachers are white women. They don't know how to deal with black boys because black boys, to them, whatever the reason, in their psyche, when a black boy shows energy, excitement, and courage,
He's a
just
threat.
a bit high energy, it's a threat in their psyche that this black boy is a threat. Whenever he just, because we hyper, young black boys are hyper, we have a lot of energy.
Right.
So when we express that and show that in schools,
It's
they
ADHD.
they punish that kid, and then
Or
it
put
just
them on
be
a
it
drug.
It's a
or
label.
that. So they go through a whole cycle through the school system of being told you bad, you this, you that, because you just acting your
And that
natural
sinks
way.
in. That
So
sinks
is
in.
that a
That-
form of emasculation?
That's a form of
It is.
emasculation.
In
Yeah.
the school system.
It is.
And not just that is, you know what I'm saying, is, you know what I'm saying, you're touching on something with and then they start drugging children.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it a step further. It's beyond the energy level of the black children, because if you think if the parents of the school take the time to show them how to channel that energy, you might have your little baby genius.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm speaking from experience. I was one of those kids that they said had ADHD, and they medicated me.
Yeah.
And I would turn into a zombie. After about 3 or 4 months, my mom was like, you know what I'm saying? She'd rather me tear up the house than sit in the corner like a heroin addict.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and as a mom of 2 boys and having my now 17-year-old, when he was in elementary school, and they tried to say like he had ADHD, and I went and hired the private doctors and had him tested separate, and came back that wasn't the case. And the school wanted to put a plan in place, and it's a funding thing too.
Yeah, they
for the
give more money.
right? So I didn't buy into that, and I kept just, I got him counseling, just a chance to understand what he was going through and give him additional coping mechanisms and different supports and different outlets and sports and all type of different things. And I'm gonna say now my 17-year-old, like he just got an invitation from honors at Texas A&M for like 50 to 100% off of tuition.
Oh, wow.
So, as parents, as one of you said, I can't remember which one, it's our responsibility, especially as mothers and fathers of young men, to cultivate that encouragement, that positivity, and that it's that confidence, right? Don't be quiet and don't be emasculated, but we have to take control of our families and help stop that emasculation, because we can't control what happens at school,
Right.
but we can control what happens at home and families.
So maybe, go ahead.
I was going to say something about that as well. A lot of that, if you look at your elementary schools, 90% of your teachers are white.
Yeah, that's what Kintu just said.
Yeah, but they're white with going in with a white mindset.
Yeah.
And so not only do they need to teach the teachers or either bring in, and parents need to advocate, can we have diversity in our school if you have your students in that school? Because those teachers are only taught that a kid is supposed to sit there and be quiet.
See, there's the thing about diversity and inclusion. It's not just teaching them diversity, the differences of the races, but how to include them in the mainstream of what you're trying to do. That is huge. I mean, companies are doing that.
But I'm
Having
taking
an
it
understanding of.
I think it's the understanding, and
They don't understand.
I think like Kintu said earlier, our energy as Black people,
is.
we're perceived a certain way.
Right.
Like I had to understand as a Black woman how I'm perceived when I walk into any room, and I had to understand how to interact in a way where I was still true to myself,
Right.
true to my energy, but not taking on the energy of every room I walk into. So not taking on the judgment of everyone else in every room that you walk into, and knowing who you are and knowing that their past experiences and their biases don't define who you are. And I think that's a bigger part of the conversation that is not being had enough, and that's not being cultivated enough, in those coping mechanisms and those tools for our children now, like as they're young, instilling those things in them so that when they're in elementary school, they're in junior high school, they're put in internships and things like that, they're not emasculated because they already have the understanding, the education, and the confidence, not the book smart,
Right.
but what we can give them from what we've already experienced.
I mean, that goes back to as parents, you know what I'm saying, being confident in who you are, you know what I'm saying,
First.
and displaying that confidence
To your children.
on
Yeah.
your children. Like this, I have 2 daughters and a son, and when they were little kids, it's my son, my daughters included. Like when I discipline them, you know what I'm saying, this. Like my daughters is like my son. Look me in the eye. Don't what you looking at the ground for? And the ground ain't talking to you. I am. Keep your head up, no matter what.
Right.
You getting praised or you getting punished. Keep your head up.
Right.
Look to the sky.
Right.
Don't know what I'm saying. Don't never drop your head to nobody.
Right.
So let me ask you guys this, and this is a real, we probably spend the next 20 minutes talking about this one piece. How do we survive? And I'm gonna call it the emasculated society. I think black people are living in an emasculated society. And we're the victims of it, the black man. I think we're the victims of it. Based on some of the things we talked about today, we are the victims of this emasculated society. It started with slavery, and it just kept going. It just changed its form. Because as we gain our freedom, you can't emasculate us the way you used to, so now there's other ways to do it. How do we work through it? How do
But
we
it's
walk?
something you keep saying when we gained our freedom. The problem is, you know what I'm saying, they used us gaining our freedom as a way to separate us further from our history.
And your women.
Well, that happened.
And I also would say the emasculation of black men does not only affect black men, it's affecting your women too.
Well, absolutely.
Because,
right.
So I don't really even think it's like a victim role, but it's a collective deficit. Like
Actually,
you guys.
that comment was pretty much exactly what I'm talking about. Because when women say they try to include themselves in the victimization that's happening to us.
But I'm not saying victim,
you're not,
right?
But I'm not saying you're not a victim. But we're talking about the emasculation, which everybody has a hand in contributing to the emasculation of the black man. Every black people, white people, Latino people, women, our black women, everyone is playing a part in that.
Right.
So what you're saying, I totally agree. But it's one of these situations, and I'm gonna be real outspoken now. I feel that sometimes when we start to speak up, I mean, us black men, when we start to speak up, because there's a guy, what's the guy that's on the show always talking about, I mean, I don't agree with everything, we talked about it, I think last time he was. Kevin.
Samuels.
Kevin Samuels,
Oh
right?
my God.
Now,
You about to give me a headache.
I do not. I'm gonna tell you, I don't.
I hate
I'm one
that.
person who has an opinion.
I hate
But what I'm saying is, I respect the fact that he's speaking from his own truth.
Yeah.
Now, whether we agree or not,
Right.
we don't have to. Who was the other guy? The other guy that was Jax, the guy that was in the car talking about relations,
Him too.
and the two of them had a
They both them
conversation.
dudes, so they both them
But you know
They both them
something.
dudes
But we
died.
have to respect the fact that they're speaking their truth.
Yes.
And they have a medium to do it.
So
But-
why are we so against these guys?
No.
But I have a question,
But
though.
wait,
Yes.
let
Did you
me
see the-
respond to his point
Yes.
because I
Yes.
want to acknowledge your truth.
Okay.
But and to your point, it's not about women making themselves victims when you guys speak up. It's really more about, this is a great example of why us black women and black men can't work together, because when a black woman speaks up in unison with you
Yeah.
and saying, hey, look, we're both being affected by this topic, it's a wait, this is my time and I'm speaking my
I
truth.
agree with you.
And it's not that when we're speaking up beside you, we're not supporting you. We're actually empathizing with you and saying, you know what, when I think about it, this affects me too. And then what I would have said next, if I was allowed, right? what I would have said next is, how can we tackle this together? And
That's
for me,
exactly the point I was trying to
so
make.
not a victim though,
So-
and where I said, I'm
Yeah.
not saying I'm a victim,
Right.
but I understand what you're saying. But
Yeah.
what my question is, as a community,
Right.
which is black men
Right.
and black women, because
Right.
we're the heads of our family, how can we tackle this together?
And that was my question. So my question is, how can we work together? How can we overcome being victims of this emasculated society? I'm speaking of black men, right? And I definitely want,
Black women.
but I think that the way for us to manage it is with your help.
Okay,
I totally
so-
agree with that.
Okay,
Yes.
so to that point, I appreciate that.
It's my
But
co-host.
initially,
It's my co-host, right?
the response that we get is the
Yes.
first one you gave. And that
Right.
was what I was talking about as a black woman in the dating world. This is how the conversation goes behind the scenes. When you say, hey, are women taking the time to have these conversations? Personally, I am.
Yes, you are.
So initially we're met with this resistance because it's almost like society has painted a picture that we're mad at you too. But we're not, we're mad at you for certain reasons when you do certain things. But really, we as Black women want our Black men. And we want you to succeed, and we want to be there by your side. And we want to help you get out of this mindset of insecurity and emasculation. And we want to see you soar to the top and take your power the way we have in certain ways.
And I promise you I'm not cutting you off. But I don't
I'd be long-winded.
I don't want to lose my thought, right? I don't lose my thought. So
go ahead.
I totally agree with everything you just said. Yes, we have to work together. But I think that the conversation we need to talk through that first impression.
And that's what I did with you just
Right,
now, right? But so the respect is not every woman and not every household has the capacity to get through that initial resistance. And that's where the separation.
It's like, oh my God, why is he attacking? Why is he attacking me?
First of all, before we even get to that part, first of all, Black men, we need to come back home. We need to be back in the house.
I agree.
Don't say get off the block,
and
get out of jail, come home and take care of your own kids.
Yes, have the desire to.
Because one of the things I noticed was, like when I lived in Atlanta, I was dating a woman that had children.
Mm-hmm.
My ex-wife was dating a man that had children. Don't say, you see where I'm going with this?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of men that take care of children that are not theirs.
Guilty.
Mm-hmm.
We need men to come back home and take care of their own children. It's cool to be a stepdad and be a damn good stepdad.
Right.
But let's get back to perfecting being dads.
Fight for your own family first.
First of all, a lot of these women you're talking about don't want those men to come back in the household.
No, not so much in the household as a relationship, but in the household is because when my youngest child, when my ex-wife moved on, you know what I'm saying, and she got remarried. The thing that cut me to my soul one day, my daughter was about 5 years old. We was having a conversation. We was having a casual conversation. My daughter was talking about something that went on at school, and she said she had 2 dads.
Oh,
that cut me to my damn soul.
Well,
only one person laid down with your mama.
That might be
no,
but that
I mean, for me, that was.
How did you my question? Because I've experienced that, and it caused a problem in my household.
Well, no, I held that to myself because I recognized that. No, I'm saying this. That let me know that I would have shortcomings and lackings as a father.
Well,
because for my daughter to feel. For my daughter to feel like that, and for that man to be able to do that, that means I left area and space for him to be able to slide in there and to do that.
But hold up, let me ask you this. Now, I don't have any children.
I'll respond based on that
definitely.
after you speak.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is, I don't have any children. I've dated a lot of women that had children. Matter of fact, at a point, I was only looking for women that had children. Which that's just kind of odd, right?
It's easier to dissect their character when they got children.
But what I'm saying is, I think that in your particular situation, you had to figure out, well, like you said, who I am as a father, right? And why is this other man? I think, and I'm only saying this, and I might be not experienced as being a dad, a biological dad, but I would think, okay, you know something? At least there is someone else who is there when I'm not there, but you maintain your relationship with your child. So I would think it's okay, especially we're in separate households, me and the baby mom in separate households, and she's raising my children. And there's another man. He has to be a good man for that child to call him dad.
That's why I was cut to my soul.
Right, I don't think it took anything from you. It just means it added something for her.
No, but it pointed out to him some of the things, that maybe he wasn't doing. And so it pointed out the room for another person to be called his same title.
And I can understand you feel that way.
But as a man, I commend you for keeping that to yourself and doing what you needed to do to step up further in that role. In my situation, that happened, and my son's father lost his cool and put that energy on my son, and that in turn affected my household because my then husband was being a father to my son in the way that his father was not a father. Right. And then he sent my son home saying, "You're not my dad. I have a dad." And then, as a man who is doing everything that other man didn't do, that cuts you a different way, and
Oh,
that creates a
And
problem.
that should cut.
Well, no,
But
it is.
now you have a disdain kind of to the kid because you're not hearing the behind the scene conversation that the kid is having with the father. You're just getting the energy from the kid. But later for me to find out, really where it was all coming from, it's all.
Well, I mean, but if he was paying
all.
attention, you know what I'm saying, he would know that, because I went through that with my ex-wife.
But not everybody had that discernment.
But you know what I'm saying, with her older two children, is her son's dad used to trip out like that. It got to the point, it was, he was gonna get into a fist fight in my yard.
See?
Because it's, we understood what was going on. You know what I'm saying, every time he'd go see his dad, he'd come home acting funny.
Yeah.
Not a problem. No. You know what I'm saying? Me and the mom, we whooped his ass every time he came home till it started clicking. It started clicking.
Oh,
Dad
that's
on
the
some
problem.
bullshit.
Yeah.
No, it's dad on some bullshit.
Literally.
He tell me this stuff, then I go home and I get my ass whooped. Then it started clicking in my son's mind.
Right.
He started
I
seeing
pipe
stuff.
down a little bit.
So let me ask you guys, so what happens, and I guess only the men can answer this question, but Renee, I definitely want you to chime in. How does a man feel when he's being emasculated? What does it feel to a man? Kintu, to start with, you've been kind of silent over there.
Yeah, you've had a lot of
I
time.
was just soaking it in. So,
Trying to get the.
what was the question again? About how does a man
How does a
feel?
man feel when he's being emasculated?
Shit, I don't know. I ain't
You
never
never
been in that
emasculated?
situation.
In your whole
I
life?
friend I
The
had.
alpha male.
I ain't no friend I had.
For real, in real life.
I mean, because it
Oh.
doesn't necessarily have to be about woman, but just in the
just in
workplace,
general.
in school, whatever, the job, anything. Have you ever felt emasculated?
Less
ever.
than a man, like you didn't measure
I felt that
up.
people tried to make me feel like less than a man.
So that's the
I
similarity.
gotta think real hard about that. Like, man, I can't
You only got
pinpoint
an
a time.
hour show.
Like,
You only got an hour show, man.
I know, but I couldn't think of pinpoint. Like,
You
man,
always
this
are hot.
right here
Right.
happened. I'm gonna put it like this. I can only imagine that it's terrible. It's not a good feeling. Okay, I'll tell you that. I did have one ex. I don't know if this is emasculated or not. We was in the store. A lady was ringing me out. She felt like the lady was flirting with me, and I was kind of flirting back. And she got loud right beside me.
Right.
And
Did she put you down?
she got loud, and I got back in the car, and I had to,
Straighten it out.
straighten her out. So I guess that was
That was not a good
one.
example.
No.
Yeah, that's not a good example. But that's the only thing I can think of right
Right.
there. She tried.
So
me,
here's the situation, right? In that situation, suppose the situation is different, right? Where she saw this person ring you up and pretty much trying to rip you off, right? You didn't speak up. She did. She got angry at the person who's trying to cheat you, but also she turned that anger on you. Why didn't you do something? Why weren't you being a man? What type of man are you? You're gonna let people just take advantage of you. Why? Now, she's not doing it intentionally, but she's emotional. Going back to the thing I said earlier, why we kind of step back, like, I don't want to get into this beef with her right now. I don't want to get into this, right? And what's the one thing, I'm not saying the only thing, one thing that turns us from women, their emotional level. We will sneak out with a woman that's giving us what? Peace.
Ooh,
Instead of
that's
staying
But you
home.
know what,
And that's gonna be our next show, cheating. Right?
Okay.
So,
No, peace.
But I want to.
Peace is a good.
Yeah, if a woman
on that
if a
one.
woman doing like
that's
as
part
a
of the
man,
manipulation.
if a woman even do, I don't think that's just a woman just stepping out
But
of her place.
it is a
You-
form of emasculation.
But then-
She's trying to deprive
Well,
you of your right
And
of
then
being
she-
a man because she said you're not one.
Oh,
you're
she-
wimpy. You're a punk. You're
Oh
not,
yeah,
you
that
don't
means
speak up.
Oh, if she talking like that, first of all, why you even with her? Why you even select her? And then if she even get to that point where she feel like she can
She
talk
might
like
cook
that
her.
to you, then you
She may get a cook.
Because
you just gotta cut her loose. Then
Well, yeah, that's
she a lost
I
cause.
mean, we older and wise, but I mean, because I've been in that situation. I'm being young. You know what I'm saying? Let's be 1,000.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Crazy chicks have what? Crazy ass sex. So that's why sometimes,
Okay,
another way of saying
sometimes you deal with that, but it's how you say it. You know what I'm saying? Deal
We
with
all
that.
have our suffocations, right?
But I would say it's with the emasculation. After a while, you're gonna get tired of it. I was with a chick that was like that. Then it got to the point it was I'm one of them people. Once I get done, I get done. There's no reversing.
Right.
So then it got to a point like she would want to. I call it putting on clown shows.
Right.
So it got to I got done. So it got to the point. Okay, you want to put on a clown show? Shit, I'm about to put on my bozo shoes. Then it got to the point is she wanted to calm it down. We want to talk about it later. No, you want to start. You want to go. It's go time.
Right.
You want to be embarrassed, and we about to be embarrassed in front of
But,
people.
but to go back to what you were saying, like,
Yeah.
what can we do or what women can do? It all starts with turning down the benefits from the dominant society, the government, and all this. Because we know
Explain
the
that.
things that, let's get to the modern day, the things that emasculate men today is the court system.
Right.
Well, really, that's one, the court system. We can just start,
Justice.
that's one part.
Right.
Because the court system accompanies child support system. We know that's crooked towards black men.
Right.
Divorce court system, that's crooked towards black men.
Right.
All these things are built to benefit black women.
Right.
Government assistance, all these things
Right.
empower women to have dominance over black men.
Right.
So it's gonna take a conscious effort on black women to not to empower those structures to downplay their men.
Okay.
It's gonna cause it's there. It's just like getting candy to a kid and you asking the kid not to take the candy
Right.
for their own health. And but you gotta count on that kid to do it themselves.
Okay. So, Lene, I want to ask you a question. Okay, back to the emasculation of black men, because that's what we're talking about tonight, right? So, let me ask you, have you unintentionally ever emasculated a black man
Yep.
when you were angry?
No, I wasn't even angry. Yep.
So you done it intentionally?
It wasn't intentional. It was just now.
She
that
said it
I'm
was
mat-
intentional.
So, okay.
It wasn't intentional.
Let's
now
respect-
that I'm
let's
now that
respect her
I'm
truth.
older and mature, I can think.
So why
back
did you do
on-
it? Why did you do it, and how you think it made him feel?
What did
Well,
you
at that
do?
Or what
time-
goal were you trying
What
to reach
did
by
you
doing it?
do?
Yeah, what did you do?
So I remember being out like on a double date one time, and it was the first time like me and my ex were meeting my girlfriend's boyfriend or whatever, and I stepped out of place. Like they were discussing the bill, and I got on him like I felt he should have handled it a certain way,
Wow,
and he didn't handle it the way I thought he should have based on what we had already done in the night, and he felt like I should have shut up, and he was right. But at that time, I wasn't mature enough to see it. In that moment, I wasn't mature enough to see it that way. But later, when he got me together in the car, as you said,
so-
right after he told me later, I was like, oh yeah, I could see. So hindsight, is 50-50. That was,
So
I mean,
did you feel
years.
a certain level of guilt because of your actions? How did it make you feel that knowing you emasculated this guy?
I felt bad because I was like, oh, I should have just let a man handle his business.
Right.
So that I learned that lesson.
And that lesson that you learned, have you carried that on? That one lesson, or was there many lessons
Absolutely.
like that?
No, I didn't need many. I don't
Okay.
need many. But
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
it's one is enough for me.
So let's like I said before, men don't like to deal with a lot of emotion, right?
And some other women said they're guilty of what I just said. So
And
it's like Patricia over there. We've done it, but the thing is, we'll
Yeah, I
learn
know
our
she did.
lessons.
But I mean, but
I'm sorry.
it's like you said, it's all on how the man handled it, because it's,
Yeah.
like I said, my ex-wife used to do stuff like that. And
Mhm.
I'm a person, you know what I'm saying, when I was married, I'm not about, you know what I'm saying, this, put the business in the street.
Yeah.
So it's,
Right.
you know what I'm saying, I let her
Yeah.
act the
Do what
fool
she
in front of
did.
friends, it's not a problem. Then when everybody left, let me holler at you.
Right.
Let me holler at you.
And we
need to
respect
talk about
that.
that. Let me holler at you.
Yeah, and we learn that lesson or whatever. It's not our goal to emasculate you guys, but as women, we're used to getting shitted on so much, and we're used to being shortchanged, and we're used to not having our men stand up for us, and we're used to our men choosing so many other people and races over us, that as women sometimes we just desire so much more, and when we have the means to do more for ourselves in certain positions, we just step up and do it. So it's not that we don't want you guys to lead, but we haven't been led by our men in so long that it's just like hard sometimes.
But a lot of black men, I'm not speaking for myself, but a lot of black men, and you see when men become successful, and then the younger generation of young boys and young men, when they go to college, they don't go for the black women.
Yeah.
And the biggest reason they say they're mean.
Yes.
But think about what they're taught, because I had you know what I'm saying, my daughter just graduated college, but I also had a conversation with a chick I dated some years back that went to Baylor, and she was talking about, you know what I'm saying, what she saw in college, that didn't know what I'm saying, black women are trained to be strong independent.
Right.
White women are trying to go to college, get your degree, and get you a husband.
Yeah.
Husband go with a degree.
There you go.
But the black women, they going to college, they trying to
Be strong and
be
independent.
strong,
They're
independent, and they
independent.
trying to have a whole phase.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
That's what they doing. They trying to
wait.
be have a whole
Don't get it
phase.
twisted.
No,
Them
no,
white
no.
chicks call
No.
a
But they
husband
tryna-
from their whole phase.
Well-
I said,
Let's break it down.
the white chicks call it.
All right, let's break it down.
For
All right, go ahead.
real,
Go ahead.
for
Lene,
real.
you had to say something.
Okay, so, no, I'm gonna take a moment. I'm gonna bring it down.
Oh,
I'm gonna bring
okay.
it down.
So deprivation, that's what it is. Deprivation, emasculation is depriving someone of the rights, a man. Depriving him of his rights to be himself, to be a family man, to be an employer, right? An employer, not employee, to be an employer, to have credit. All these things play into the role of the emasculation of a black man. All of these things. Now, it's more personal when it's at home with our woman, right? And I don't believe that every woman, and matter of fact, I believe majority of the women are not doing it intentionally, you know what I'm saying? But I think, like Lene said, sometimes we put you guys in a situation where you're frustrated, you're upset, you're angry. We want someone to make us feel safe, women.
Yeah.
You want us to make you feel safe, protected, belonging, loved,
Yeah.
a part of you. We want to be, you guys want to be a part of
We
our
do.
lives, right? And in a lot of ways, we've turned away from you because there's certain things that distracted us, meaning you didn't give me peace that day when I needed peace. You didn't listen to me because you were caught up in your own situation. So I decided to go get peace somewhere else. All that contributes. All that contributes. And I guess what I'm trying to say out of everything we talk about tonight, 'cause we only got a couple minutes, everything we talk about tonight, I think is we need to have these conversations.
Yes.
We need to have those tough conversations,
Yeah.
and where we got to talk through the pain first.
Yeah.
Talk through the pain and get to the core, because now, once we start to settle down, the dust start to settle from all the stuff we didn't shook up.
Shook up.
That's been laying there on the carpet for too long.
Yep.
Now we're shaking it up. Once it starts to come down, then we start to realize that, you know something, I understand what you were trying to say. Sometimes it just doesn't hit us right away.
And it gotta come down, to black
from
women
both
gotta
ways.
understand what black men want. Like we tell black women, hey, we don't want you to wear all the stripper
believe us,
nails.
and
We
believe
don't
us.
want the stripper nails. We don't
Believe
want the
us.
But I mean,
weave.
but it's
We
kinda-
don't want all the cake up makeup, the long lashes. And the black woman say, I'm doing this for myself. I
Which-
ain't
Well, I mean,
trying
but
to-
it's
which is
kind of hard
important.
for black women to do that. Is you have black men, all of us say that.
But
Then they turn around and cheat.
No,
With the exact thing
listen,
they said they
we
didn't
cheat,
want.
we cheat with that, but we ain't settling down with that. We just,
But I mean,
we do things just to get a
We're not-
nut.
Right.
But we don't settle down with that. The woman we want to settle down with is the modest woman.
Right.
Don't have the makeup, the
Right,
long
but I
weave, the
understand
long
that.
nails.
It is.
That's what we settle down with. We'll go off and fuck off on any little bullshit
saying,
ass
but
corner
it-
hoe. But that don't mean we want that.
But I mean, but see how
But
that
that's
comes together doesn't make sense. It
But-
doesn't
At the end of
make
the day, we men.
I mean, but
so-
you gotta look at women looking at that. Only reason I'm.
But that's what I come down to. They gotta understand how we think.
Daughters.
They gotta understand how we think.
But I
That's
mean,
that's Kintu. So.
I'm keeping it real on.
no, you keeping it all the way real,
You
but it
are, you
don't
keeping
make
it-
sense. Though.
Oh, Kenny, was that a fist pump?
It was a fist bump. It was a fist
I mean, 'cause you gotta think about this. Okay,
One more time.
This is
you tell
women-
me.
So this is what women, this is what we're up against though. So we coming to y'all like, I just wanna love you and I want a family and I wanna help you build and you want us to be natural and no long nails, no long hair, just, your peace, and that's how we start off.
We
and
want
then,
peace.
No, but we start off
Let her finish,
that way,
let her
right?
finish.
Yeah.
And then y'all go fuck off. And then you come back and be like, we just men, that's what we do. So now you want me to be peaceful still?
No, we not. I'm not saying we doing it in a relationship.
Right.
Oh, the correction now.
I'm not saying we doing it in a relationship because we know black men don't cheat. But
Facts.
My
Facts.
mic has dropped
Facts.
and it's just so boom.
Black men don't cheat.
This will be
But wait a minute, but hold up,
Because I'm going to call him
hold
out.
up. Men don't cheat, boys do.
Lies.
Facts.
okay, but on the real though. But on the real, let's keep it real though.
That's a lie.
Let's keep it real.
Let's keep it real.
Go ahead, Kintu.
Most black women cheat more than the black man on the average. That's just facts.
Well, it's more of y'all than us, so you can't dispute that. Numbers don't lie.
That
More of y'all
part.
than
That
us.
part.
So it don't.
Y'all
numbers don't
cheat
lie.
more
Okay.
and y'all cheat better than us and
We
get
cheat.
caught less.
So
we might cheat. I'm not.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hold on.
Cheat on us,
No, go ahead. I want you to tell you, guys. Go ahead, Renee. You
Okay.
started to say you cheat
I was
more.
going. No, I was not gonna say we
She about
cheat
to-
more.
you
I was
was about
gonna
to
say
say it.
we might cheat better than y'all.
Better. Okay.
From the stories I've heard, yeah, y'all
Okay.
messy and
So-
y'all have that cockiness and that arrogance that is just what you do.
But I mean,
Okay, so I'm gonna reflect on something Lucky just said. Yeah, boys cheat, not men. A real man. So we spoke about this thing about, and before the show, we talked about the alpha male, and we're gonna have a show about that coming up pretty soon. The alpha male, in nature, doesn't cheat. He doesn't want to cheat. He wants to be home with his wife. He wants to raise his children. He wants to pay his bills and pay them on time. He wants to be productive in society. That is a true alpha male. It's not about being dominant and controlling. What he's saying is he's controlling his environment by maintaining his environment, not trying to overpower people. That is a beta male that wants to dominate and control. The alpha male doesn't. He has a certain level of confidence within himself, right? That says, hey, I want the people around me to feel safe and comfortable. He's a gentleman. We don't talk about that word much. A gentleman. He is a true gentleman. So on that note, we are beyond our time now.
we all thought we was going 2 hours.
no, we can't
No,
do 2
we'll be
hours.
back next
Because-
week and I will put the link so you guys can join
We
in.
are going to have a part 2.
We need a
of the
part two.
We need a
emasculated
part
male.
2
We
to
need a
this.
Of the
part two.
emasculated male.
We're gonna have a part 2 for y'all.
We're gonna have a part 2, and so for all of you guys who are watching out there in
Let me-
Facebook land, I'm glad you guys tuned in. We will be back when?
Next Thursday at 8.
If Renee shows up, we'll be back at 8 o'clock next week.
I
Because
will
for
be-
some reason we can't do the show without
That
her.
was-
I didn't want to roll her on the bus.
Oh.
That was hot and
She-
painful.
she's
It's not,
flaky,
it's not
yo.
rolling her on the bus, it's
It's
putting her
not
on the
true.
spot.
It's
Because-
him who be like,
but you know-
something came up. I got
But this is my partner, and we in it.
8 p.m.
We
8
in it
p.m.
8 p.m. next Thursday.
Next Thursday.
And we'll see you guys next week. So Patricia, whenever you're ready, roll us out.
Thanks for joining, everyone.
Yeah, we gotta do the part. There's one thing I need. No, we don't like that. So, black is black.
We're still on. We're after hours.
So black people are not. So black people are not allowed to. They don't have to be mean. But men, where are women giving examples of how to treat them?
That's fair.
And that's why I say there's a whole lot of I think it was
Black women need to start
So
requiring marriage before they make babies.
That's okay.
Y'all, I've been married
Oh, I did.
twice. What that mean?
That's good.
That
But
don't mean nothing.
it means a lot.
What that
It
mean?
means a lot.
Tell me what it means.